welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us to learn more about how to start a home care company in the great state of California. My name is Marcos Moura. I'm the Chief Development Officer for Amada Senior Care, and I really thank you for taking the time. I'm here joined by Matt Smith from Amada Senior Care as well. Matt, welcome to this recording.
Good to see you, Marcos.
So, I know that a lot of you guys have been thinking about starting a home care company or a healthcare company or a business in the state of California, and you may have a lot of questions about how to get that done. Now, what do we mean by a home care company? In our case here, we're talking about a company where you send non-medical caregivers, folks that go to seniors' homes and take care of dressing, bathing, meals, transportation, cleaning up behind the senior, those
Mhm.
activities. And they can be an amazing business in the state of California. So today we have an expert here, Matt Smith. And Matt, by the way, is not only an expert in the licensing part, but he's also an expert in home care. So before joining Amada Senior Care, Matt ran a company in the state of California that did over $10 million in gross billings. Over 10 million in gross billings. And Matt started as a sales rep for that company, went all the way from sales rep to president of the company. It was actually one of our largest competitors here in Orange County, and he couldn't compete against us, but he did pretty well. He did pretty well. So
Did
since
pretty
coming to
okay.
Amada Senior, what's that?
Did okay. We did all right.
Did okay. He did okay. Now, since coming to Amada Senior Care, Matt has helped over 30 entrepreneurs here in the state of California get their businesses launched. So you're in for a treat. If you're wondering how to start this business, what are the licensing requirements? How much does it cost? What are the requirements? Everything you can think of. We're going to cover that here in this call, and we want to give you a ton of value. So let's start. Matt, are you ready?
I am so ready. And thank you, Marcos, for the time. It's so good to spend a few minutes with you. And for our entrepreneurs out there who happen to be listening in, thank you for your time. I like to tell people when we interact, time is precious. It's a very precious, limited, and finite commodity. And so when we invest our time, we have a high expectation for return of value. So grateful for the time that you're spending, whether you're watching or listening, driving. If keep two hands on the wheel for us folks here in California. But grateful to be here. And yes, it's true. I've been able to help 30 plus locations not just open their doors, right, and get their licenses intact and get their business foundation set. But once that foundation is set, once that their license is active, it's how to continue to grow. And I think as you look at our footprint across the state of California, it looks like 30 plus locations is a lot, but there's a lot of blue sky in California,
Yeah,
right? There is
absolutely.
a lot of blue sky, and so I think from the viewpoint of an entrepreneur, right, as you're trying to figure out as an entrepreneur, where is my next venture, right? What's my next adventure? And so you're deciding, yes, I want to be an entrepreneur. Now I'm deciding I want to go into healthcare, right? And I know sometimes we're thinking, man, there's a lot of competition. Well, one thing to keep in mind that in any business is supply and demand, right? And Marcos, there's a great phrase out there. So if you're an entrepreneur and you want to write this down, I'd remember this. And that is the silver tsunami. It's here.
Hmm.
It's happening. What that means is that the baby boomers, those individuals born 1946 to 1964, they're turning 65 to the tune of 10,000 people every day. The
That's
demand for
crazy.
care is insane. Not only that, our federal government is encouraging and challenging and pushing care delivery in the home. And what they're doing is
Yeah,
the
and that's
federal
not just a
government is
Trump
now
thing.
shifting
I
the.
mean, that's been happening for
No,
decades and
that-
decades, right? This switch
that's
from
exactly right.
being in the hospital, being in a facility, being in a large area instead of being in your home and cared for at home. I mean, that's been the trend for
Since
decades.
2010, since the early 2000s. And the federal government is shifting the cost burden onto the consumer. And so more and more folks, when you poll our seniors, guess what they say? If you ask a senior adult, where do you want to retire? Where do you want to live out your days? You know what they say? They say at home.
Hmm.
So there is a huge demand that's happening in our market in the state of California, across the country for this care. As an entrepreneur, stepping into that, I think is a wonderful opportunity, right? So you're going through your discovery process and saying, yes, I want to be an entrepreneur because you're going into business for yourself. You have dreams, you have ambitions, you want to create freedom and liberty. And so you're looking to become an entrepreneur. So you're going into business for yourself. But one of the
So,
questions, yeah, go ahead.
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I was going to say, but one of the reasons, though, that I love working with entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs who invest in our system is yes, you are going into business for yourself. but you don't go into business by yourself. And I think I have seen with other friends that have even started their own home care companies on their own, doing it by themselves. Yes, for themselves, but doing it by themselves.
Hmm.
Even in the state of California, there's some pitfalls that can make it really hard to open your doors. And not only make it difficult to open your doors, but make it difficult to maintain your business. And not just maintain your business, but maintain it to the standard that California is asking. So one of the things that I'm sure entrepreneurs are saying, well, why can't I just do this on my own? Well, the reality is that smart entrepreneurs choose to invest with people who understand the process. And I think from
Mm.
our standpoint, Marcos, those entrepreneurs who say, look, I want to go build a big business, but I can choose to invest some of my time and my dollars into an organization that will give me the right guidance to open, build, and grow my business. That might be just the best resource use of those resources. So in the state of California, there is a home care organization license. Now, here's what that means. Regardless of where you are in the state, you have to get a couple of things. You have to get an office. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But you have to get a
Hmm.
business license. You have to get your EIN. You have to create a DBA, right? You have to get a business license. But the state of California specifically requires you to get what's called a home care license. Here's what they want to know. Marcos, if you're opening your doors as a home care operator, the state of California wants to know about it. Okay. Not because they're draconian, not because there's a lot of oversight or they're going to tighten the screws on you, none of that. What they want to know is that are you, as an entrepreneur, prepared and able to care for a very vulnerable and needy population? That's what they want to know. They want to vet you out to make sure that if you or your caregiver walks into the home of a senior adult, that the state of California can feel comfortable with that. So they have this application process. Guess what? There's 13 forms, 13 different forms. There's an approval period that it takes about 3 to 6 months to get that approved through the state of California. You're given a number. There's a website. There's a fingerprinting process, a background process. There's even orientation that you have to do as a business owner to check off the boxes that you have actually completed the process. And I think what's really important to understand is if you're an entrepreneur, could you go do this on your own? Yes. But here's what happens, and I've seen this happen a lot, is a little bit of a mistake is made over here, a little mistake is made over here, a
Hmm.
little mistake made over here. And here's what the state of California has done, much like other states. 3, 4, 5 years ago, there was a dance, right? I fill out my paperwork, I send it to you, you send it back, I send it back. And the state of California would do this dance with our entrepreneurs to get that application approved. That's not the case anymore. Even
Mm.
in California, that dance used to go pretty quick. It's now taking a little bit longer if you're making mistakes. And the truth is, today, there are 6 people reviewing all the applications in the state of California.
Okay.
Okay. So you know the old adage, right? It's not what you know, it's who you
That's
know.
right. It's who you know for sure.
So guess who we know? All the people reviewing the applications. Now, we're not, unduly influencing them, but you know what? We can call them and we
Yeah.
have, and we can say, hey, how's this application coming along? Is there anything that we're missing? Is there anything that we need to do a little bit differently? Because our whole goal and working with our California entrepreneurs when they're going through this onboarding process is to ensure that once those 13 forms and everything is all completed, that we put a nice little bow on it, nice little figurative bow. And when we submit that to the state, we have mitigated the risk of having it sent back. And right now,
Mm.
we are getting through these application processes in weeks, not months, right? So it's taking just 2, 3 months total from submittal to approval because we understand the process. And
That's
I think,
amazing.
yeah, and I think that's really important. If I'm an entrepreneur and I have this heart, passion, desire to serve a senior in their home, but I know I got to get through this licensure process, I want to make sure I do that right. And probably the best way to do that is to partner and come into an organization that understands what California is doing today. Because we look at our last 5 applications and we can go, this is what the state trend is now. So now we can update the trend, right, on your documents. Is that helpful? Does that make sense?
That is very helpful. Now, um, how difficult is it to get all of this stuff together when even with our help, you can start getting discouraged, right? Thinking, oh man, all I want to do is I want to take care of seniors, but I got to get 13 different forms. There's the HCO number. I mean, how difficult is this really? Is it doable?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I adopted an adage a long time ago when I started in this business, especially in the home care space. Home care is simple. but it's not easy.
Hmm.
And I think even the application process, sure, it's 13 forms and some of it's redundant information, but it's not easy. And sometimes we can get lost in the process. And I think what's really important as you're going through this to have this understanding that as an entrepreneur, you're going into business for yourself, but not by yourself,
Hmm.
that it's a simple but not easy process. Having the right partner to help you close some of the gaps, right? And sort of what you're great at and what you need help with is really going to be important.
Hmm.
We are now in the state of California getting our applications submitted in less than 30 days. That's what we're doing in the state of California. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're thinking, yes, senior care, yes, private duty, Amada is the vehicle that I'm going to attach to take me where my family and I want to go in the senior healthcare space. And I got to get over this hurdle of getting my license submitted. Just know right now, less than 30 days average is what we're doing to get the license submitted. And they're not coming back. We're getting them approved pretty efficiently. I think if I knew that as an entrepreneur, that if I partnered with that organization, and I could feel comfortable that they could get my paperwork in timely, you know what that means? That means I get my license sooner. And you know what that means? It means I can go serve seniors sooner. And really
Now,
what that means is I get to hire caregivers and I get to be an employer and I get to help families provide for their families. Can't beat that.
I can't beat that. Now, if that's my dream and I'm tracking with you, tell me
Yeah.
about it. It talks about required personnel designee.
Yeah.
So something that I hear from entrepreneurs is, hey, I have zero experience in healthcare. I come
Oh,
from
yeah.
finance or manufacturing or law or retail. Like I've
Yeah.
never done this before. I'm not a nurse. Can I do this? What do I need to
Yeah.
have as a background to be
Yeah.
an entrepreneur that's going to be approved in the state of California to hold
Yeah.
that license?
Yeah, so for us, one of the things that I tell entrepreneurs all the time is, maybe you don't have the experience, but we do, right? And so we're going to guide you through that process. As the designee, do you have to have specific background? No, in the state of California. What we do is we train you how to run a home care operation. I always tell my story. Before I got into senior healthcare, I worked in the automotive space. And I got to partner with a great organization that trained me up. So in this case, it's the same, right? You have a designee that becomes your person to manage that. And we guide you through that entire process of what it looks like to bring them in. Now, in some cases, folks want to bring in an RN and we can help them do that. That's not a full-time employee, right? So we
Mhm.
help you identify what's called per diem or per day RNs to help you run your business. And so we can do that for you and with you as well.
That's fantastic. So, okay, now you talked a little bit about the time
Yeah,
frame. Um, Talk about the requirements for the caregivers. Now, again, we're talking about a business where you're hiring people to go to seniors' homes to
yeah,
take care of
yeah,
dressing, bathing,
yeah.
walking, grooming. We're not doing things like surgeries or wound care or shots or therapy in the home.
Hopefully, yeah,
So,
right, yeah.
yeah, exactly, right? I mean, you're doing something that, if you have a toddler, you have to bathe that toddler, you have to take care of that toddler. It's very similar. So, what are my requirements for the folks that I'm hiring?
Yeah.
And again, I have zero healthcare experience. Can I figure this out of
Yeah.
who I need to hire, what the
Oh man.
qualifications need to be? How complicated is that going to be for me?
Yeah. So that's a great question. So let me frame this in two ways, right? Let's say I'm going to try to do this on my own, and I've never done that before. Well, one of the requirements for when you're onboarding caregivers is you have to do 5 hours of onboarding training and 5 hours of
Hmm.
annual training. So when you hire a caregiver, it's 10 hours, and then you got to do 5 hours every year. Well, if you're doing this on your own, you either A, have to create that material on
Hmm.
your own, or B, you have to buy the material on your own. Okay. So you have to go sort through and vet all that out. Well, when you partner with an organization like Amada, we train you and we have the materials for you. So we have partnerships where you go, oh, you need to do caregiver training? No problem. We have this partner already in place. Here's how it works. Feed it right in. Okay, when it comes time to hiring a caregiver, you need certain documents. You need a handbook, you need employee documents, you need to get a TB test, you have to do background checks. And in California, here's the crazy thing. Other states, ink dots, ink test, right? Remember that? Roll your thumbs, put it on the paper.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
not in California. In California, we have to do digital fingerprints. Okay. And we do that live. And so we have a whole system for you to be able to go do your fingerprints, the digital fingerprints to do that. So we connect you with the resources you need. So you don't have to spend time vetting all that out. We do that. We've done that vetting. And so whether it's the training, whether it's the background check, the employee documents, all of that stuff, the digital fingerprints, which is called live scan. And the reason we do
Hmm.
live scan is because if anything goes haywire, you're notified as a business owner right away. So you run a
Oh,
background
cool.
check, right? It might look back 5 years and it's clean, but if something happens between the time you run the background check, it won't show up, right? If you're doing the ink plates, live
Hmm.
scan gives you real-time updates. So we help you navigate all those little bumps and nuances in the application and onboarding process to ensure the most important thing is that you are compliant as an operator. That's what the state of California is looking for, that you're not a bad actor, that you're compliant, that you're managing your staff and your caregivers well, because if you're doing that well, then you're managing your clients' care well. That's what the state of California is looking for.
That's amazing. So it's totally doable. It's something that
Yep.
they can learn from our team here. It's something that we have done over 30 times, which is
Yeah.
amazing. And
Yep.
and I'll tell you guys that it has been folks from all walks of life. For example, let's see, we have a gentleman in Northern California. His name is John Woo, and John Woo was in technology, or what was John Woo
Technology.
in?
Yeah.
Technology, and his son was going to San Francisco
San Francisco
State,
State.
or
Yep.
no, what's that called? It's
Yep.
not San Francisco. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
He's going to college, and they found us on LinkedIn, and we started talking. He's like, "Listen, I've never done this before. I've come from technology." He now owns a home care company in Northern California that's doing amazing, amazing things. And his son Jaden is his partner, and they've been able to build the business. I mean, we have countless stories. Well, not countless, over 30 stories like that in the state of
Yep.
California. Folks that we have helped. The vast majority of them had zero experience in home
Yeah.
care, and we've been able to walk them through and get their home care companies done. And we're talking from all walks of life.
Yeah. I mean, we even have folks even in San Diego that came from software sales,
That's
right?
right.
Jumped from the software background. We have Amida in Northern California who has a completely different background. We have folks that their prior job was a homeschool teacher and mother, and now
Yeah.
they're a home care operator, right? And there's and really, Marcos, I think maybe this is probably the perfect way to close the call, right? Which is like, can I do this? Like, do I have the chops? Do
Hmm.
I have it? What? I think that there's a bit of drive and desire, to be an entrepreneur to do it. And we're going to train you how to run the company, how to build a business, how to grow it, how to scale it. We know what it means to be a good operator, to be great at caregiving, to be great at the sales aspect, to be great operators. That's where we come in. We get to step in and we get to guide you through all of that. But
I love that.
when you get asked by a family member and they look you in the eyes and they say, I can't take care of my wife anymore. My grandmother needs help. Can you help me? And you get to sit down with that family and guide them through the decisions that they're making about the person and the care for the person they love the most. You're going to build this great business and it's going to be phenomenal. But that moment transforms your life. It changes
Yeah.
us. And the reason that we do this is because that there are families that need us. And that number of families is growing every single day, 10,000 people every single day. It's growing, it's growing, it's growing. And so to be a part of that part of someone's life is precious, right? It's very, very meaningful. And I run to work every stinking day. So that we can help franchise partners help those families.
That's right. Well, we want to thank you guys for joining us for this. If you want to learn more about the home care industry, more about Amada Senior Care, go to amadaseniorcare.com/franchise, amadaseniorcare.com/franchise. Reach out to us and you go through this process that we walk you through to understand if this is the right business for you or not. We don't charge you anything for that. You go through the discovery process with us, and we are evaluating you as much as you are evaluating us. So you get guys like Matt that you'll be able to go through this process with, who's going to talk to you and meet with you and identify your values, your concerns, your resources. And we're going to be able to really let you know if we believe this is the right business for you or not. And it's
Yep.
amazing, right? To have somebody that has that much experience walk you through this process. At the end of the process, if you decide this is the right business for you and you would like to do it with Amada Senior Care, then we could award you a franchise and you can start going down the path of all these folks that we've talked about before and building your business. But there's really no commitment. You can go through this process with us and go all the way to the end. And if you decide this is not the right business for you, or you don't want to do it with Amada Senior Care, that's okay. Because we really want to evaluate and make sure it's that you are the right fit for this business. So thank you so much
Yeah.
for joining us, Matt. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
Appreciate you being
you.
here. Good luck, everybody. Love to be able to hear from you. We'll see everybody soon. Thank you, Matt.
Bye now.